All right, hello and welcome to our webinar hosted by Ledgeview Partners. For those that have been on our webinars in the past, I want to say welcome back, and for all you newcomers, it's nice to virtually meet you, and thank you for giving us your time today to learn more about today's webinar topic, From Lead to Opportunity, Defining Your Process. My name is Julia Flaherty, and I am Ledgeview Partners Marketing Coordinator. We are a business and technology firm that partners with organizations to transform sales, marketing, and customer service operations and processes that are supported by core technologies, including customer relationship management, CRM, and marketing automation. Before I introduce our presenter, I have a couple of quick housekeeping items to cover with you. First off, today's webinar is being recorded and will be available on demand after the live session. All attendees will receive a follow-up email after the webinar is complete with a link to access the presentation. We encourage you to share this within your company and your professional networks. To ensure best audio quality, we have everyone on listen-only mode. But if you have a question or comment, please submit those in the question pane you'll find on your GoToWebinar control panel. Now that those details are out of the way, it's time to focus on today's marketing topic, From a Lead to Opportunity, Defining Your Process. Jodie Gilroy, Ledgeview Partners Senior Business Analyst, will be diving into many focal points surrounding this topic to help you understand and develop lead definitions, understand the differences between marketing and sales qualified leads, and much more. Individual team members will benefit from this presentation cross-departmentally, as we find extreme importance in understanding the lead generation process at all levels of employment. Jodie, thank you so much for joining us today. I'll let you take it from here.
All right, thanks Julia, and welcome, and thanks to all for joining the call today. As Julia mentioned, my name is Jodie Gilroy, and I'm a Senior Business Analyst with Ledgeview Partners. I'm really excited to talk to you about this topic today of defining the lead opportunity process, because quite honestly, it's one that comes up quite a bit in my consulting with marketing and sales teams. And if you're joining today's call, I'm going to make the assumption that as with most companies, this is an area that you might also be struggling with. So let's get started and dive into this topic so that hopefully at the end you have more clarity on the subject and have started to formulate a plan to navigate your organization into establishing definition and process around these topics. So what is a lead? What is the process for that lead to become an opportunity? Right now, if you were to poll 10, 100, even 1,000 companies, you would hear a long list of varying definitions. And that is okay. And I want to level set at the beginning of this presentation that the definition should be different to a certain degree across companies because you're servicing different markets, have different sales cycles, and different conversion points. However, the alignment and definition should and really needs to be consistent within your organization. So if you were to ask the sales and marketing teams within your company today, what is a lead? How does a lead become an opportunity? What defines an opportunity? Would they all have the same definitions? The reality is, in many cases, there is a misalignment. And this is one cause for the misalignment between sales and marketing that we hear about so often. And this can have a real impact on the number of opportunities created and closed, or otherwise known as revenue for your business. So today we're hoping to discuss those definitions and get you both on the same team or creating that alignment within your organization on these topics. So get your pen and paper out as well, because we're actually going to do exercises during this webinar. So we'll do some exercises as we talk about these definitions. So let's first start with the topic of leads. Whether you are in sales or in marketing, I think we can all agree that we have a need to fill the basket, right? Or otherwise known as AKA generate leads for the organization. So before we even talk about the definition of the lead, let's talk about filling the basket. There are multiple ways to create leads for your organization. And most likely, you have a sales team and a marketing team working to do this. This may include specific sales efforts like cold calls, trade show participation, referrals, etc. In addition, your marketing team may be generating leads from website form submissions, webinars they are hosting, social posts they're doing, or direct mail pieces they're sending. As these activities are going on, you're starting to fill the basket with leads. Now, if you're struggling with generating leads, or if you're generating the wrong kind of leads, you may need to take a step back and start from square one to determine who you should be going after in the first place. To do this, the first step is define who your target audience is. Who is a fit for your product or service? Who can your organization help? If you're generating leads already, and hopefully you are, you need to have an understanding of where your leads are coming from. Are they currently coming from your sales team attending events, making cold calls, or are they coming from your website, content that maybe you're generating, or emails that you're sending? And then of those leads, how many are converting to sales for your organization? What and how many touch points were needed to convert that lead? This past history will help you to define where you're at and what you need to do more of and what you need to do to change or do less of. It's really going to give you that visualization. Okay, once you do that evaluation and have fully defined your targets or buyer personas, you need to gather clarity around where you could reach your leads today that you are not actively participating in today. For example, maybe a good portion of your lead targets are actively participating in a particular social channel, and your presence on that channel is non-existent. You'll want to develop a lead gen strategy for that marketing channel. Or maybe you find through your research that you have higher conversions when the sales team reaches out to a contact within a day of an email being sent out. Then you will want to incorporate that into your lead process. A recent report from Inside View shows that marketing and sales have needs from one another, and many of those are crossovers, especially when it comes to leads and alignment of target market, as you can see here. The key here, and the point I'm trying to make, is bringing your marketing and sales teams together. These efforts that we're going to talk about today should not be in a silo. Work together to create a common lead generation strategy. You both will add value to this conversation. Clearly define the role and responsibilities of each team so that everyone knows their place in the process and you can become that well-oiled machine that everybody strives for. And what we'll be talking about more today, come to a place where you have a common definition across the organization on what is a lead, what is a marketing qualified lead, what is a sales qualified lead, and when does a lead become an opportunity? This is a collaborative process. So if this is new for your organization, start by introducing yourself and breaking down any silos or barriers that may exist. Plan a group session to align on these definitions. Okay, so let's fast forward a bit. I'm going to assume that all of you on this call either already took this advice that we just reviewed and are now lead generation machines and are filling your basket with leads, or in this illustration, eggs. So how do you decide what eggs you should put in your basket? Let's start by defining that what a lead is to your organization. As a general definition, a lead is someone that you have identified or they have identified themselves as being a fit for your product or service. So the question to ask yourself is, what are those attributes or indicators that make someone a fit for your product or service? This is where the conversation really becomes unique to your organization. Are they a fit because of what industry they work in, or where they're located, because of a particular piece of content they viewed, because of their job title. Let's pause now, and I would like you to grab that piece of paper that I mentioned earlier and pen and jot it down, or on your computer, wherever it makes sense for you right at this moment. And write down what are 3 to 5 attributes that make someone a fit for your product or service. And again, yes, this is a real exercise, so go ahead and actually do this. I'm actually going to pause for a minute or two on this. Okay, now look at that. You are already on your way to creating a lead definition. And in most cases, it's not a singular definition. Depending on the number of services you provide or products that you sell, you may have multiple kinds of lead types by product or service group. Now take what you have started and get your sales and marketing teams in a room and define this further. Now, those of you on the call may know that in addition to business consulting, Ledgeview offers technology consulting, and specifically the implementation of CRM systems. As such, we come across companies that don't use leads or flip terminology with leads and prospects and bypass the usage of the CRM lead entity altogether. For today's conversation, a lead is someone that you have not transacted with or sold to before. A prospect is someone that you have not worked with before, but you're pursuing an active opportunity with them, meaning there is a potential for business, but they have not actually made a purchase. The difference here is a lead is someone that either has not been in contact or not been in contact with you yet, or you haven't contacted them or qualified. And a prospect account or contact is someone that you have qualified and has a greater potential to convert into an actual account for you. If you are currently using a CRM and don't use the leads functionality, but instead either enter everyone as prospect accounts, you're missing out on some metrics that we'll talk about later, and also are potentially cluttering your CRM account database with accounts and contacts that will never convert into business for you. I like to think about the lead database or the lead entity as my catch-all basket, and then the prospect account or active account database as the almost ripe fruit or ripe fruit that are ready or almost ready for picking. Okay, with that topic addressed, once you have the definition of a lead solidified in your organization, the next step is to segment that definition of what is a marketing qualified lead and what is a sales qualified lead. Let's take a look at some general definitions of this. For a marketing qualified lead, this is someone who has raised their hand and identified themselves as being interested in learning more about your product or service, but not necessarily ready to purchase. I think the biggest challenge here when trying to create this segmentation is one of discipline and also patience. Not every prospect that contacts you is ready to buy right now, or not every lead that is ready to contact you is ready to buy right now. If you're currently sending all of your leads to the sales team and they're quickly disqualifying them because they do not have an immediate buying intent, or if you have leads that have indicated they're not ready to purchase right now, What are you doing with them? Are you waiting for them to contact you when they are ready? Or maybe your sales team has a phone call reminder set up to touch base every 6 months? I think the point here is it's a mistake to ignore your leads that are not ready to buy yet. In most cases, this lead will purchase from either you or competition within the next 24 months. So if you can define within your organization what makes someone marketing qualified, you can then create a marketing strategy to try and move those leads further down the sales cycle into a sales qualified lead. Or at the very least, continue to stay engaged with that prospective lead for when they're ready to purchase or ready to talk to sales. Now take a minute and let's do our exercise again and jot down a few notes again on what might make your leads fall into the marketing qualified basket. What indicators do you have today that show interest, but not necessarily buying intent yet? Where are they just raising their hand, but not necessarily ready to talk to sales? Jot those down. Again, I'm going to pause for about a minute and then we'll extend the conversation into sales qualified leads. All right, let's now extend the conversation to sales qualified leads. A general definition for this is that there are triggers that indicate that they are ready to engage with a member of your sales team. This could be a single trigger or multiple triggers that would put these people in this particular basket. If you are new to this, it's imperative that you have a strong understanding of how these leads are converting into revenue. As I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, kind of knowing your target markets. To do this, you need to understand that target market, what their purchasing behaviors are, and how you can solve their problem. This is critical to knowing which leads need to be nurtured by that marketing team or fall in the marketing qualified basket, and who is ready for a sales call. While there is not a set formula, and companies will have different criteria for what is an MQL lead or marketing qualified lead and an SQL are defined as, the key takeaway is that it's important to have a definition with your organization rather than treating all leads equal. By aligning sales and marketing this effort, you'll be focusing on high quality leads, which lead to increased conversion rates and a more efficient sales process. So as we just did earlier, let's now take a minute and write down a few ideas on what might make someone a sales qualified lead for your organization. What are those potential buying triggers that they have that would prompt a call from the sales team? All right, with those exercises out of the way, let's move ahead and let's pull this all together and look at this as a flow. Okay, so here we have your product or service. And as organizations, we all have a desired target audience that we're going after. Each of those target audience groups will be in different sales stages or complete different actions when they're coming at you, right? So here we have somebody that's downloaded an ebook, another gentleman that has attended a webinar, and another that maybe has requested a quote or requested a demo. So to further illustrate this idea of marketing qualified lead versus sales qualified lead, I have an illustration here of one where you might put them in your basket or your bucket, but this is not necessarily the case for all organizations, right? But in general, if somebody came in and downloaded an ebook or attended my webinar, I may first put them in my marketing qualified lead bucket and continue to nurture them to create additional engagement. Now, somebody that has requested a quote or requested a demo, I may put in that sales qualified bucket because they're more sales ready. They're ready to engage with an individual and have shown more interest than somebody that simply read an ebook. So I'm going to put them in that sales qualified lead bucket. Now, certainly those that are put in the marketing qualified lead bucket, it's marketing's job to continue to engage with them and move them into that sales qualified lead bucket and have them want to engage with sales at that point or make that lead warmer for the team to call. Now, I like to also, while it doesn't show here, marketing can still play a role even when leads move into the sales qualified area. You're still trying to work the sale here, but the messaging is going to be a little bit different once sales is engaged. So you'll want to collaborate on that process as well. All right, so now of course in our lead basket, there will be some good eggs and some bad eggs. And the term good versus bad may be a bit harsh, but the reality is that at some point, the leads that you're following up with will eventually turn into a business opportunity or they won't. So we talked earlier about defining certain attributes to define what a lead is to your organization. The next step is now determining when the lead will be qualified, meaning you will move that lead from your lead basket to your opportunity basket. Here is where you should define the attributes that make the lead qualified. Is it the time frame in which they intend to purchase? Is it the size of the potential opportunity? Is this because they have told you about an actual project? As a team, you should define what makes a lead qualified and when you should convert them. Track this as part of your process. Another process you can implement to help with qualification is the use of lead scoring. Based on your lead's activities, you will provide a certain scoring value, and this can help you to prioritize who to follow up with. Let's review this a little bit further. If you are new to the concept of lead scoring, this is an example of how lead scoring works. These cumulative scores create an overall lead score for the lead and helps the team to understand where the customer is in the buying cycle and when the lead should be qualified to sales. This is one model that could be used, but you would then determine who would own the lead based on the lead score. In this illustration and in the next slide, I'm illustrating the use of marketing automation and CRM to manage this process, but there are other ways as well. But as you can see, based on the individual's cumulative score, let's say they have a 10, I would put them in what I would consider an awareness stage. And this is going to be a marketing qualified lead, meaning marketing is going to nurture this lead. And they're going to do that in this scenario up until leads reach a score of 39 or less. But I will certainly tailor my marketing messages based on the groupings that they fall in, consideration versus conversion. When a score in this illustration reaches a lead of 40 to 60, I'm going to assign that to sales, Or if they bump up to a score of 60 plus right away, they're certainly going to sales, but are going to be identified as a hotter lead. So the sales team not only owns that lead, but can rank and score off of, rank and prioritize based off that lead score. So marketing on leads, sales leads, this data set is stored in your CRM and also in your marketing automation tool for visibility by both your marketing and sales teams. So this is just a quick illustration here, but the lead scoring data would be added to your CRM. That's what we're looking at in here. And the lead score would change in the marketing automation tool as people interact with your different content. They're reading more emails, they're downloading more forms, they're doing all these different things that is happening in the marketing, due to marketing communications, and that scoring value keeps bumping up, and that is displayed over to your sales team in your CRM system. Okay. So we've spent a lot of time on lead definition and process. So let's wrap this up with a few best practice tips before we move to opportunities. Okay, so I think the key takeaway here is really to form collaborative sales and marketing efforts. Bring those teams together and start working on those definitions that you've started today. Make sure your teams understand their role in the lead process. Set expectations for each campaign that you're sending. Capture your lead analytics to understand what's working and what isn't. If you're not using a CRM, use a CRM as a centralized database for this customer contact information and this lead scoring that we talked about. Integrate your marketing automation to your CRM if you haven't already. And the big takeaway here, no matter what you're doing with data, is keep your data and your process clean and consistent across all of your teams. All right, let's move on to opportunities. Okay, so this is an exciting time. This is where eggs are hatching into business opportunities for us. So by definition, an opportunity is a contact or an account that has been qualified. This person has essentially entered into your buying cycle and has committed to working with you, maybe not buying yet, but committed to discussing it. And you have already contacted them, called, met him, whatever it is, and you know their needs or requirements. So again, this is an area where you're going to want to go ahead and jot down what is an opportunity mean for your organization. In the essence of time here, we're not going to stop and pause on that, but again, get your groups together just like we did in the lead process and go ahead and define that. Now, if you find that creating this definition is difficult, you're going to want to ask yourself a few questions to further define this. As you start tracking your opportunities, you'll want to define if you have multiple opportunity types for your company and how you would want to track those. In addition, this is where companies also typically start tracking their sales stage or process as part of the opportunity. For example, example of stages include the research stage, the develop stage, the quoting stage, the proposal stage when you go back and maybe present to the client, and then the close stage are common opportunity sales stages that you'll see particularly in a CRM. Another thing you should ask yourself is if all my opportunity types should follow the same process or if they're different. This again is where a CRM will really help you when trying to track multiple processes and opportunity types. In addition, the key data points that you are collecting can be passed back to your marketing team so they can understand what sales stage the customer is in and send appropriate marketing communications to align with that stage. This is why it's so important for your teams to understand and align on a process within your organization when dealing with opportunities. Now, as you use opportunities, the following are key information or fields that you want to try to capture about an opportunity. And this, again, I'll play back to some of the metrics that we'll talk about later, but these are the fields that we have found to be kind of essential within an opportunity form. One is the topic. What is this opportunity even about? What is the type? This is typically like a drop down that categorizes your different opportunity types, which is why it's important to define them up front. What is the status of the opportunity right now? Who is the owner? What product or service is this opportunity related to? What is the probability to close this opportunity? What is the estimated close date, estimated revenue, and when you actually close opportunities, what was the actual revenue? You'll see, again, see this come together when we talk about metrics and sales funnels. I just pulled this out. This is an example of an opportunity process in CRM. This is actually Microsoft Dynamics, and we're featuring the version 9.0. So if you're using an older version of Dynamics, this might look a little bit different. But the point here is, as you can see, there are stages that the opportunity follows. In addition, specific fields are being captured on the record. If you are using a CRM today, this is functionality that may be available, but perhaps you aren't using, or it hasn't been configured to match your sales process. This is something we recommend you work on to build that process into the technology. Finally, you'll come to a point where you either win or lose opportunities. Hopefully you're winning more than you're losing, but you'll want to track the outcomes regardless if it's in the win column or in the loss column. This will give you visibility into why you're winning and losing opportunities across your teams. Okay, so after all of that, you have hopefully had a bunch of hatchings that turn into one opportunities are now your customers. So in addition to the new customers, you also hopefully, right, you're running successful businesses, have existing customers or returning customers that will have new business opportunities as well. So don't forget about them. You want to continue to track those opportunities as well to feel what opportunities are out there from your current customers, as well as with those, as well as to fuel that overall sales funnel that we'll look at shortly. So this is an example again in Microsoft Dynamics where you would have your account and you'd be working that account, and essentially you're going to log additional opportunities with that particular account. And again, you'll win some with your current customers, you'll lose some, but this is an opportunity for you to keep track and have everybody aware of what opportunities exist and at what stage and at what value. Okay, so let's chat about the reporting that the marketing and sales teams can work to develop with this modeling in place. Most businesses want to know, how many leads did we put in the basket? How many of those leads were qualified versus disqualified? How many turned into opportunities for us? And how many of those opportunities did we win? And how many did we lose? Creating these definitions and aligning on process will move you close to this as well. So I thought this was very interesting. This is a recent report from Inside View, and you can see the sharing of a company's pipeline is not always happening between their sales and marketing teams. So this is, again, kind of where misalignment happens quite a bit, and where pulling these two teams together can really not only help with alignment, but you're creating visibility to the sales pipeline. Everyone starts to feel part of the sales process or responsible for revenue for the organization. So these statistics are pretty stunning. So, if you're having this in your organization as well, this is another opportunity to pull your teams together and start sharing data to help the teams strive for greater conversions and success in the sales funnel. So here are some sales metrics that would be important to understand so that you really, as an organization, know what is working and what isn't working. You'll want to know your average sales cycle length, your average deal size, the opportunity win rate history, conversion rates. What were our best winning opportunities? And what did we do different, maybe even to get them, or what was different about them in the sales cycle? understanding these data points will help your organization drive more business, more opportunity down the line. And in addition, all the things that we've been talking about today, when you start using this modeling, you can start to create sales pipeline visibility. When you have this, you want to conduct regular pipeline review meetings with your sales and your marketing teams. This data can be valuable in helping you move forward and make decisions on where your team should spend their time, their money, their resources, all of those good things. So this is an example. You know, we want to know what's at the top, you know, what's in our potential, first stage of our opportunities. How many, or this could be a funnel of how many leads do we have in the pipeline. Sales funnels look very different depending on organization, and you might have different ones that are telling you different data points. So again, what do you want to know and how do you want that data to show? And you kind of reverse engineer that process of what you need to collect from your opportunity records and your lead records. And while sales analytics should be shared with marketing, there's also a set of data specifically for marketing that should be shared as well, or one that marketing will find value in when organizations are using this lead to opportunity conversion process. For those that are using marketing automation as CRM system, the ability to do attribution of reporting is a benefit of using the lead to opportunity process we discussed today. I do want to preface that with not all marketing automation systems do this or do it in the same way. But in the illustration I have here from Act On, you can see the system is reporting the number of new leads that I've generated based on the marketing source, or the lead source that they brought in. You know, was it from webinars, emails we've sent, white papers? Was it a sales generated lead? From that, we also can report on the types of opportunities that were created. So of those leads, which ones did we convert into opportunities, and what was that original source of that? It's a great data point for marketing to know and sales to know as well. And here we get down to very specific, levels of detail around of those opportunities that we generated. How many did we win? What did that attribute to from the overall pipeline? What was my average opportunity win rate by revenue? So a lot of really, really great data can come out of this modeling. So I encourage you, to first work through the process of adopting this, and you will then, with the right tools in place, have the opportunity to see this kind of reporting output. All right, so let's wrap up today's session by looking at some benefits of working with your organization on establishing these processes and definitions. Establishing lead opportunity benefits includes creating sales process and visibility of the buy-in stages within the organization. Let everybody know, where is this opportunity at? What are the stages? How many buyers do we have in one particular stage versus another? What should marketing be doing to help with that conversion, to move them to the next stage? How many leads do we have, etc.? Provide that clear definition of the stages and where and how marketing sales should engage with the buyer. Talk about this with your teams. Better prioritize your efforts than maybe you're doing today. Keep your account database clean by only including those accounts that are qualified or have potential business for you. So really try to use that lead entity if you are using a CRM system. And from that, you'll obtain clear reporting and analytics, and that should be shared across your teams. In addition to the collaboration with your sales and market teams, having a better relationship, which we all, hopefully are striving for, with solid definitions and process in place that we talked about today, you will hopefully also experience, warmer leads, more qualified leads, higher conversions, and also an overall reduction in the length of time of your sales cycles. That is something that we've seen, with companies that have established these kinds of processes. And hopefully, all of you will reach the ultimate goal of increases in revenue, because that's what we all want, don't we? Okay, so we're going to wrap up today's call a little early. I just want to, give a little plug here about Ledgeview Partners. If you're not familiar with Ledgeview, This is a reminder that Ledgeview offers both business and technology consulting. So whether you're maybe struggling with sales, marketing, and customer service processes, or the actual CRM technology, we can assist in both capacities, give you the best outcomes based on your needs. So I'd personally just like to thank you for attending, and I'll now turn the call over to Julia to close out today's session.
Great. Thank you so much, Jodie, for all of that wonderful insight and information. Such a great presentation. For all questions that were submitted during today's webinar, we'll be sure to follow up with you offline. We'd also like to let you know about our new ebooks that are posted to our website at ledgeviewpartners.com that cover a variety of topics from creating a sales process that will drive results, the basics, to pro tips, to empowering the sales team with customer analytics and harnessing the power of marketing automation. These are truly great resources that all of your team members can benefit from. If you missed today's intro, we did record today's presentation, and we'll be sending a link to everyone to access this webinar on demand. This email will have our contact information if you do have any questions that later come up. We also encourage you to visit our website at ledgeviewpartners.com for additional on-demand resources that cover sales, marketing, customer service, CRM, and more. We look forward to seeing you again on future webinars. You can visit our news and events page at ledgeviewpartners.com to see upcoming webinars we have slated. Thanks again to everyone who joined us today. Have a wonderful day.